I didn't expect the worst moment of my life to happen between a Louis Vuitton billboard and a Vadapav stall at Dead Air Station. But that's where I found my own missing person poster. I was early, which already felt wrong. I'm never early. I was leaning against one of those concrete pillars on platform 4, half listening to my driver complain about traffic near Cuff Parade, when the paper caught my eye. It wasn't bright or dramatic. It looked tired, old. The edges were curling inward like it had given up on being noticed. The face on it made me pause. Not because I recognized it instantly, but because it felt familiar in the worst possible way, like seeing your reflection when you're too exhausted to deal with yourself. Same crooked smile. Same scar near the chin from a childhood fall I still don't talk about. Same mole near the eyebrow my mother always said ruined my symmetry. Then I read the name. My name misspelled in the exact way my boarding school teachers used to misspell it, even after my parents corrected them. Seeing it wrong still irritates me more than it should. Missing since 2018, last seen wearing a blue kurta. I looked down. I was wearing a blue kurta. Tailored. Linen. Something respectable. Something that said I belonged where I was standing. I laughed. Actually laughed. People glanced at me like I was unwell, and I nodded apologetically, because that's how you're raised when you grow up where I did. This had to be a prank, some coincidence. Some weird Mumbai nonsense. Still, my hands shook when I pulled the poster off the wall. It came off too easily, like it had been waiting. Underneath were layers of old election flyers, coaching ads, spiritual nonsense promising clarity for a fee. I folded the poster neatly and slipped it into my bag. Then I got on the train like nothing had happened. I sent a photo to my sister with a joking caption. "Okay, who's messing with me?" She didn't reply. That should have scared me more than it did. My family isn't dramatic. We're South Bombay old money in the most boring way. Lawyers, bankers, trustees. We don't fight loudly. We don't joke about death. Silence in our family means avoidance. When she finally called that night, her voice sounded controlled in a way that made my stomach drop. "Where did you get that poster?" she asked. "Doubter today, why?" There was a pause. "That poster's been there since before my son could talk," she said. I laughed again, harder this time. "You helped me move in 2019, I said. "You argued with me about curtains." "I scattered your ashes in 2018, she said. Then she hung up. I didn't sleep. I sat in my very real, very expensive apartment and stared at the city lights like they might explain something if I stared long enough. The next morning, I went to the police station in Colaba because that's what people like me do when things don't make sense. We assume systems will clarify things. The constable scanned my ADAR, frowned, scanned it again, then stood up to call his senior. "This ID was deactivated," he said politely. The senior looked at my face, then at the screen, then at the photo on my phone. His expression didn't turn shocked, it turned familiar. "You're not supposed to be here," he said quietly. I left before he could say more. After that, my life started quietly rejecting me. My bank accounts froze. HR claimed my employee file had been archived years ago. My building security told my driver I didn't live there. Even my phone number stopped working. Only one person still answered my calls. Ravi. We went to the same elite school. The kind where reputations last longer than friendships. We weren't close emotionally, but our families had known each other forever, and that counted. When he saw me walk into the club lounge, he went pale. "I carried your body," he said before I could sit down. He showed me photos. Not dramatic ones, administrative ones. My funeral was efficient, quiet, respectable. I died in a train accident. Closed case, no scandal. "You hated trains," I said. "You loved them," Ravi replied. "You said they were predictable." That night, we went through old hard drives. Old cloud backups. That's when we found the video. It was me, older, thinner, calm. "If you're watching this," the video me said, "then I succeeded. I had planned my own erasure, legal death, swapped body, bribed officials, destroyed records, temporary identity. And then this part made my hands go cold. I'd arranged to forget. Because guilt complicates things. Because memory pulls you back. The posters weren't for help. They were checks. The man following me confirmed it a few days later. He didn't corner me. He sat across from me at a cafe I liked, ordered the same coffee I always did, and nodded. You're not the first version, he said, like he was clarifying a billing error. There were backups, not of files of people. If the dead stayed dead, fine. If they didn't, someone else carried the shape. That someone was me. I asked him what would happen next. He shrugged. Depends what you do. That was it. That night I tried logging into my bank again. Still locked. HR still checking. Friends still polite but distant. Nothing new had happened. And somehow that made it clearer. I went to my parents' building one last time. I didn't ring the bell. I just stood there listening to the normal sounds of a life that had already closed its chapter on me. Nobody was chasing me. Nobody needed to. I was already done. The next morning I signed what he put in front of me. I didn't read it closely. I didn't need to. After that, things stopped breaking. Not fixing. Just stabilizing. New number. New job. New rental agreement that existed mostly on paper. No one put my face up again. No one checked. If you're expecting a twist where I outsmarted everyone, there isn't one. I didn't fight. I didn't expose anything. I just stopped trying to reclaim something that clearly wasn't mine anymore. I still take trains sometimes. I still stand on platforms and watch people wait for lives they think are solid. I don't use my full name anymore, not because I'm scared, just because I don't need to. And if you're wondering whether I regret it, I don't think that's the right question. The right question is whether anyone noticed I was gone. They didn't. And somehow that finally feels like an answer.